All right, here's a story about a great tzaddik. His name was Reb Meir Permishlian. And no, you know what? I'll tell you another story. One second. All right, I'll tell you the story about Meir. So Reb Meir Permishlian, he lived on the side of this sort of big hill. That's where his house was. And he would wake up in the morning and come down this hill. In the middle of the hill was a mikveh, a natural spring body of water, and he would immerse himself in this spring. Immerse himself. In Judaism, there's what's called a mikveh. A mikveh is a body of water which is built according to specifications, and in it, it brings purity. Women go to the mikveh, it says, once a month, and anyone that became impure had to go to the mikveh. That was part of the process. And it doesn't have to necessarily be built. It can be natural. It can be natural, but the water has to be that it wasn't drawn water that either comes from a spring or what. Anyway, so he used to go into this mikveh and he would immerse himself in the mikveh. But when it got to be, now at the base of this hill that he lived in, or mountain, whatever it was, is there was a big yeshiva, a place of learning. And he would go down the side of this, he would immerse himself in the mikveh, and then he would go down, and either he would pray in this place or he would pray in a synagogue that was near this big school, this big. Okay, when it came to the winter, it was the hill became very icy, and nevertheless he would come down, and he immersed himself in this freezing cold water. He would immerse himself. He would go down. Anyway, the young men that were in this this yeshiva, this place of learning, they weren't Chassidic young men. They were, what do you call, normal, regular Jews. What's this Chassidim, tzaddikim, and holy people, and all this mystical, spooky stuff. Right? You learn the Torah and you live the life, and if you're a good Jew, you go to heaven. But he wasn't that way. This was this Rebbe Permishlan. He was the Chassid, and the Chassidim, they think about the holiness of this world. And in order to do that, you have to know a little bit secrets of the Torah, a little bit, and things like that, like we learn in the morning. Anyway, so they're looking and they're watching how he comes down this mountain. Now, he was not necessarily a young man, and the story doesn't tell how old he was, but he came down the side of this mountain, and when it was slippery, it was icy, and he would come down the side of the mountain. So eventually, this aroused the interest of these young men. And they started looking and seeing what he was doing. Maybe they watched it with binoculars or whatever they did, a telescope, but they saw he was coming down, and they started discussing how it could possibly be that he came down this mountain. And one of them said it must be a miracle. One of them said no, that maybe it's witchcraft. One of them said that no, must have some way, and probably puts his feet down. And one of them said, I can do the same thing. If he can do it, I can do it. Other people say, you can't, I can't. Anyway, so they got around, I don't know, to betting or whatever. They're daring one another. And finally, this one that said he could do it, as he watched very, very carefully to see exactly where he put his feet, right? Day after day, to see exactly where he put his feet. And he got the whole thing figured out, where it was. There must be little ledges over there, and probably there was little, grasses growing there, so it wasn't so slippery, and etc. And so that's it. So we went up on the side of the mountain, exactly where this Meir Permishlian, I guess when he was busy praying or something down. And he got it all, mapped the whole thing out, looked, he just prepared himself, and it was icy, but he wasn't worried. And he started going down, and he made it from the top of the mountain to the bottom of the mountain in like 4 seconds. He just fell, slipped, broke the majority of the bones in his body. They had to take him to the hospital, and they saved his life. He broke his legs, his arms. And this Meir Permishlian came to visit him and said, what happened? Why did you do a thing like that? Why? He said, no, I saw how you came down the side of the mountain, and I saw exactly where you put your feet. And I figured I could do it myself, and it was a total failure. It just didn't work at all. Tell me, what is your secret? How do you do it? I mean, can you reveal it? Is it some sort of sorcery? How do you do it? And he said, oh, it's very simple. He said, when you're tied above, you don't fall below. In other words, he was tied to God so much that God helped him and he didn't fall down. Now, it's true, God, that doesn't mean that every tzaddik, every righteous person could have done the same thing. God helps different people in different ways. But that's how he helped this person. But it's a general principle in life that the more you're tied up to your creator, the less that you'll fall down into the creation. Have a good day with Mashiach. Now, God willing, I don't know if there'll be a class today later on, but if there is, it won't be at any specific time. Tomorrow it will be, though, 8:15 in the morning. Hope to see you all. Invite your friends, please, to Chassidut with the Rebbes of Chabad. Shalom Uvracha.